Alright, so in today's video, I want to help explain the $1 million glitch where someone was able to borrow 5 Bored Apes and exploit the airdrop and get over $1 million. This is crazy. Now, I realize that NFTs are somewhat of a controversial subject, and every time I make YouTube videos about NFTs, half the people are like, it's a scam, and the other half are like, this is awesome. So regardless of what you think about NFTs, hopefully if you watch this video all the way through, it'll at the very least help educate you exactly about what's going on in this crazy world of NFTs, what's going on with Bored Apes, and how this ape coin came to be and how someone was able to make over $1 million with this exploit. Crypto is kind of crazy, but that's what makes it exciting. So let's get right into it. Hi, my name is Bored Apes. Come for the finance and stay for the Andre Jick. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to Katie Hahn. She's a crypto investor that used to work for Andreessen Horowitz, which is a private venture capital company which manages billions of dollars. And while I don't know Katie personally and she doesn't watch my YouTube videos, I want to congratulate her for raising $1.5 billion, which, get this, is the single biggest debut venture fund ever raised by a solo female founding partner. That's amazing. I want to be like Katie, but she's going to influence a new wave of investors, and she's going to put that money towards something called Web3, which perfectly ties into today's story of the $1 million glitch. Enter Bored Apes. A little less than a year ago, on April 2021, people minted or created their own Bored Apes. There was a limit of 10,000 Bored Apes, and the cost to mint one was $220. Since their creation, the prices of these Bored Apes have skyrocketed to the point where now the cheapest Bored Ape you can buy today is worth 103 Ethereum, or roughly $307,000. It's insane. Full disclosure, I do not own any Bored Apes because I cannot afford. Now, last week, there was an airdrop of 150 million ape tokens to all holders of Mutant Apes, Bored Apes, and Kennel Club NFTs. If you were somebody that had a mutant ape, you would have got 2,042 ape tokens. If you had at least one Bored Ape, you would have got 10,094 ape tokens. And they were all given out completely free. Now, at the peak, the token went up to $17.75, meaning that if you had at least one Bored Ape, you would have gotten $179,000 richer, which is just insane. But I've also seen some estimates from exchanges saying that the ape token went to a high of $40, meaning technically people got $403,000 richer. No big deal. Could you imagine waking up in the morning to realize that you are now several $100,000 richer just because of an NFT that you owned? Me neither. All my NFTs have been losing money. Now, the next question you might have is, who gave all of these people all this money and 10,000 ape tokens? How, why, who, where? What? Here's exactly how someone was able to game the system and make over $1 million step by step. The next portion of this video is brought to you by SoFi. Do you guys know about SoFi? They're an awesome finance super app that just launched a checking and savings account with one of the highest interest rates around and no account fees. Once you have the SoFi app, you can trade stocks, fractional shares, ETFs, and crypto too. And investing is only the beginning. You can also refi your loans, consolidate debt, and track your money at no cost. And you can turn your paychecks into crypto. Automatically invest a percentage of your paycheck on a recurring basis in up to 30 different cryptocurrencies with no purchase fees. You can also redeem your credit card rewards for crypto. Access the first credit card that lets you cash in 2% of eligible purchases into rewards points that can be redeemed straight into crypto. SoFi is taking a lucky winner and 3 friends to go to BTC 2022 and their official after party at Live. Oh, and you also get 5,000 rewards points redeemable for crypto if you win. So download the app and enter to win at the link down below. Thank you, SoFi, for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now let's get back to it. Here's exactly how someone was able to figure out a way of borrowing some Bored Apes and making over $1 million. Now, this was not a hack, it was not a glitch. Instead, it was something called arbitrage. Arbitrage usually happens when you buy something cheap in one place and then go to sell it somewhere else for just a little bit more. And this can happen because one of the most creative things you can do with NFTs is that you can lend and borrow them. And I'm not talking about taking a screenshot. There's this platform called NFTX.io. I'm not sponsored by them, I've never used them. In fact, I've never even heard of them before making this video. But apparently it's a platform where you can take a bunch of the NFTs that you own, put them inside a vault, and then securitize them and make them into one single token that you can lend or allow people to buy, which gives them access to all the assets inside of the vault for a brief period of time. And it just turned out that someone on that platform securitized 5 of their Bored Apes, and those 5 were not used to claim the airdrop yet. And the 5 Bored Apes were numbers 7594, 8214, 9915, 8167, and 4755. Together, they're worth roughly 500 ETH or $1.5 million. Now obviously, buying $1.5 million worth of Bored Apes is insanely and prohibitively expensive. So someone just figured out a way to borrow them instead. And here's how you can borrow $1.5 million worth of assets. You can do it with something called a flash loan. A flash loan allows people to borrow a ton of crypto very quickly as long as certain conditions are met because it's underpinned by a smart contract which follows a very specific set of rules. Unlike a traditional loan where you lend someone money and pray they pay you back, a flash loan gets paid back in the same block that the money was borrowed. And if it doesn't, then the transaction reverses and the money never leaves in the first place. It's kind of genius, and it also gets insanely complicated. So let's just keep it simple. Here's exactly how they did it step by step. Step 1, the person who did this first bought themselves a real legitimate Bored Ape for $300,000 or about 106 Ethereum. Step 2, they then used that newly bought Bored Ape as digital collateral to get themselves the flash loan because sometimes you gotta have an extra 300 grand laying around. Step 3, they then used that flash loan money to buy themselves the vault's tokens, which allowed them temporary ownership over those 5 Bored Apes inside the vault. Step 4, the 6 Bored Apes they now had access to, the one they bought and the 5 they just borrowed, they then used to claim the airdrop of 60,564 ape tokens worth over $1.1 million. And step 5, before the apes were returned, the loan was paid back in full before anyone was the wiser, and that's how they were able to make over $1 million in almost an instant. Now the question is, was this stealing? There are strong arguments to both sides. On one hand, it's definitely stealing because the person who originally owned those 5 Bored Apes will now never be able to claim the ape tokens that were supposed to be rightfully theirs. It's no different than if you were to lend out your lottery ticket to someone and that someone wins millions of dollars. Would you feel entitled to that money? I know I would. But on the other hand, it's not stealing, because it's no different than loaning out this red digital cinema camera, which was then used to shoot a Hollywood feature on, and if that person made millions of dollars, are you owed that money? You wouldn't be, especially because you charged that person money to borrow that camera. The truth is, the cost to borrow the apes should have been a lot higher to compensate the lender for the greater risk they are taking. And secondly, ApeCoin DAO, which is the organization that put together the ape token, should have implemented a better airdrop that was based more on the time and length of ownership rather than a snapshot of who owned it at the time of the airdrop. So the next question you might have is, why were these ape tokens even created, and why am I still watching this silly YouTube video about NFTs that I will probably never own? And here's why. Remember Katie Haun? Well, she's gonna invest $1.5 billion into Web3, which is the next phase of the internet. Remember, it started off with Web 1.0 sometime in 1989. This was the internet that was mostly static. It was like a bulletin board that you could only read, but you couldn't participate or do anything on it. But we transitioned to the sound of "You've got mail." That was Web 2.0, sometime in 2004, and this is the internet we know today. An internet that is reliant on the social community aspect, on us connecting with each other. That is the internet that is mostly owned by big tech and it's very centralized. But now we're going through Web 3. It's not officially here yet, but we're living through the birth of it right now. And all this stuff we hear about NFTs and tokens and crypto and the metaverse sounds exactly like the kind of science fiction stuff that would lead us to a bubble. But it's so much more than that. This third iteration of the internet is powered by distributed ledger technology, blockchain, artificial intelligence, underpinned by the crypto and token economy, an internet where the individual has full control over their privacy, their data, their identity, and their value. And that's where NFTs come in. And the most popular of these NFTs is, of course, Bored Apes. And the Bored Ape token is supposed to be the new currency of the new metaverse that's being developed by Yuga Labs, which some people are calling the Yugaverse. Not related to Yu-Gi-Oh! That would be awesome though. Yuga Labs, by the way, is the company that created the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and these ape tokens will give people special privileges that will allow them to vote on the direction of future Bored Ape projects. In fact, just recently, Yuga Labs raised $450 million, valuing their company at $4 billion from partners like Google Ventures, Samsung, and so many others. And you have to ask yourself, how and why are these tech giants pouring that much money into NFT startups if they didn't feel like they were going to be successful and they could make money with them? That's because they already have, because Yuga Labs last year made $127 million worth in profit just from taking a percent from the sale of every Bored Ape. And they also just recently bought the CryptoPunks iconic NFT project, so this is just the start. And look, as much as I made NFTs sound awesome in this video, I do want to make sure this video is balanced because they are not perfect, and there is legitimate criticism, especially from people like Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, who is not a fan of Bored Apes at all. Vitalik Buterin is somewhat of an idealist. He wants to see people use NFTs and crypto for real-world applications to help people, or as he puts it, the launchpad for all sorts of socio-political experimentation, fair voting systems, urban planning, universal basic income, public works projects, rather than a tool for the wealthy to speculate their money on to make even more money with, which is also why he said. But at the same time, there are definitely also monkeys being sold for $3 million that are great Twitter entertainment, but otherwise not doing much. And that's why he's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars in relief efforts to help Ukraine, because he believes NFTs can help represent much more of who you are and not just what you can afford. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because you can either take the information from this video and still ignore NFTs and completely dismiss them because you think they're silly, or you can use the information to understand that right now, behind the scenes, everything we talked about, from airdrops to flash loans to decentralized exchanges where people are buying and selling digital assets for the metaverse in the new iteration of the internet, are all things that are going to become the foundations of not just finance, but also things like governments and social contracts. And I'm not just saying this to hype you up to get you to buy some NFT. Instead, I want you to be aware that right now there's an arms race for venture capital to pour an insane amount of money to help legitimize the NFT space. Companies like Yuga Labs are going to use that money to build out their own Yugaverse or metaverse to help compete with Facebook's metaverse, because there's an enormous amount of potential, and Bored Apes are at the center of all of this crazy marketing hype and crazy machine. So regardless of what you think about this weird world of NFTs, I hope you at least learned one new thing from watching this video. As always, love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. All the free stuff is linked down below. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.